Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit more about Volkswagen, but apparently there's a lot of other organizations that Volkswagen now shined a light on with this whole diesel scandal situation. Hearing earlier this week that Mitsubishi now has come out and said that they fibbed a little bit on some of their fuel economy and testing cycle numbers that they have put out there. Not to mention, apparently, Daimler is being investigated by a government entity. The Peugeot Group and Citroën Group of the PSA, they've been investigated by French authorities as well. Not to mention, there's been a lot of talk that possibly the entire diesel fleet that is sold here in the United States possibly can pass the EPA numbers, but once they get out on public roads, that their emission cycles that they're putting out is now way higher, maybe 4 or 5 times the legal limit of the EPA is actually allowing these emission numbers to actually be. So it's a weird situation. It might be a situation where EPA numbers have to really be cleaned up, and obviously a lot of folks may have been fibbing about this for quite some time. Back to the Volkswagen Group, VW actually going to the U.S. government claiming they've got a fix for at least the 2-liter turbo diesel that they have in many of their vehicles. The 3-liter turbo diesel that's actually being investigated as well, that wasn't built in an exceptional amount of numbers, but was built on a number of different brands, not only in the Volkswagen Group, but also Porsche and Audi had these inside of their vehicles as well. So they're still searching for a fix for the 3-liter, but the 2-liter, they're claiming they have a fix. They won't announce that fix until summertime, so we'll know a little bit more in the next couple of months. But as far as the affected vehicles, apparently there's going to be 2 routes that you need to go. If you own one of these machines, you can either get the vehicle fixed, and Volkswagen's going to cut you a check for you're being put out a little bit by this whole scandal situation. Hearing rumors that it's also somewhere around $5,000, which is definitely nothing to sneeze at. They've actually told the U.S. government as well, they being Volkswagen, that they'll buy back upwards of 500,000 units of these machines. So many of these machines will be bought back by the Volkswagen Group. It's going to be interesting to see what exactly they're going to do with those cars. I would love to see them do something good with them, and rather than actually just crush them all. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, this is a further developing story that we're going to hear a whole lot more in the months to come. Next up on the list, a little bit more on that Ford GT situation where they're talking about 7,000 folks have actually put in applications to buy one of these machines. A lot of the press releases weren't exactly clear whether they were going to apply to get the chance to apply to own this machine or whether they're just going to get apply for these vehicles straight up. The interesting thing that has come out over the past couple of days is the fact that only 500 units are going to be spoken for out of these 7,000 applicants. So that's an interesting situation. So only for the first 2 years of this vehicle's life cycle is actually the production's only going to be 250 units per year. So that's all they're looking into their crystal ball as far as selling so far. Not for sure if the 7,000 applicants, the ones that don't make it, the 6,500 that don't make it, actually are going to be thrown back in a couple of years for another 500 unit lottery, if you will. Not 100% sure how this situation is going to work, but interesting deal. I figured they were just going to give the applicants for every unit they were planning on building, because I was assuming they weren't going to build any more than the 4,000 to 5,000 units they built of the first generation. So I guess there's more to come on this Ford GT situation. Next up on the list, the last go-rounds are coming up for the Holden Group, actually being built in the Australian market. And one of the last ever special edition vehicles is going to be this. This is the Holden Commodore Black Edition. Now, it's basically an appearance package that'll come out on both the SV6 with its 261 brake horsepower, 3.6 liter normally aspirated V6, or the SS version, which comes with a 407 brake horsepower, 6.2 liter normally aspirated V8. Now, you probably already guessed, the black edition means they pretty much deleted all the chrome, so the wheels get a little bit of black treatment around the grille, around the daytime running lamps as well, the mirrors, and out back it gets a small little black spoiler, a black rear diffuser, and the like. Very, very handsome automobile. It'll be interesting to see whether the Chevrolet SS that is sold here, which is basically the Holden Commodore, will get this black edition as well. They have yet to say how many are going to be built and how much these are going to cost, but they will be available for the Australia-New Zealand market later this year, the year of 2016. Last up on the list, you may have seen this particular gorgeous machine, the Aston Martin Vulcan. It's basically a very limited edition, flight of fancy, full-blown race car that you could actually purchase right from Aston Martin. But, in an interesting twist, a bunch of Aston fans who are buying this particular machine have kind of been wanting to drive this thing on the street, oddly enough. Aston Martin said they were not interested whatsoever in building a road-going version of one of these machines, but has contracted out an engineering group. They're called RML, and these folks claim that in 3 months they can transform this automobile into a road-going machine. Now, I'm assuming it's going to take quite a bit of work during that 3 months. I'm assuming the underbody diffuser is going to need a lot of work, maybe a lot of work to the front splitter as well, because I'm assuming that's going to get crashed in, all sorts of stuff. Going to have to raise the ride height, different wheels and tires, obviously a little bit softer suspension. The interior is probably going to have to be gone through to make it a little bit more comfortable for daily road use. They're going to have to do some tweaking on the engine as well, as it'll actually have to follow the test cycles as far as fuel economy and for emission standards. So quite a bit of work, and this RML group has yet to announce what it's going to cost. Now, Aston claims there's only 4 or 5 people that really want to do this, so I'm assuming it's going to cost a massive amount, possibly maybe somewhere around half of what the Vulcan actually is going to cost these folks in the first place. But if you got that kind of cash, I guess that isn't a huge big deal, but I can't wait to hear what these revisions are going to cost and what exactly these revisions are going to be. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Don't forget to like us over on the Facebook page. Links down in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.